Hi everybody, before you go to Machu Picchu, this is a video that you may want to watch. Hi there, and for those of you who don't know me, my name's Sam Raybone. I'm a professional actor, and outside of acting, I enjoy travelling, and this is my little guide all about how I got to Machu Picchu and the trip that I did. Now, I didn't do the Inca Trail, I did something called the Lares or the Lares Trek. This is my little video guide to how I got to Machu Picchu. So hello everybody and welcome to this little vlog about how I got to Machu Picchu. Now I didn't go the traditional way, I didn't go via the Inca Trail, and I'll explain a few reasons why and how I got there, and hopefully with the aid of some pictures and some maps this will help you decide how you would like to get to Machu Picchu. Over the course of the next few videos I'll be doing some of my old travels, and then we're looking forward to what's going to happen next year because I'm going away for 6 months. I'm going to be travelling Southeast Asia, but for right now we're going to be focusing on Peru, South America, and my trip around to Machu Picchu. So, I started in Cusco. I didn't actually start in Cusco. I'm not going to do my whole trip. I booked a trip with a company called G Adventures. Now, G Adventures are amazing. I love them. I've done lots of trips with them, and they are perfect if you're a solo traveller. So this video is probably really quite useful if you fancy solo travelling. I'm going to focus on how I travelled with G Adventures. I've travelled with them in Asia before, and this was my first trip to South America. Briefly, I went and landed in La Paz, Bolivia, one of the highest, not the main capital. I mean, I don't want to name drop, but I work with Anne Hegarty. She always used to tell me off for calling it the capital. For me, it was the capital. So, got to La Paz, suffered with altitude. I didn't get sickness, I was just tiredness. It was weird. And from La Paz, we got picked up and I joined the G Adventures group. Now, G Adventures are great. They're fairly cheap for what you get, and I have to say you get a lot for your money. And I joined an 18 to 30 somethings travelling on a shoestring is what I believe they call it, and so we went from La Paz to Lake Titicaca and ran to Cusco. So I'm going to pick up in Cusco where we are now. So in Cusco there's loads of things to do. The main square is voted one of the best squares in the world. It is amazing. So if you get a night out in the square, please do. You can walk around the old Inca temple. They've got the most amazing rock formations, and all the rocks have got names. Not all the rocks, but certainly the big rocks have got names, and you can't see that until somebody physically points it with you. Now, you can't touch the rocks. There are people guarding the rocks, so please don't try and touch them. And there's a huge cathedral there as well. Most of the towns in Peru seem to have a big cathedral of some description. This one apparently is full of gold, so if you want to go in and see the cathedral, well worth doing. Other things that I did around Cusco, they're going to come up on the screen as we talk about them. I did quad biking, which is one of the best days out I had in Peru. And we went off about, I think it was about a 45-minute drive, and then we had a full day of quad biking, and for $50-ish, it was such a good day. And the other thing I really recommend doing from Cusco, Cusco's a really good hub for loads of activities in Peru, is a trip to Rainbow Mountain. So if you get the chance to go and see Rainbow Mountain, as you can see on these photos, it is stunning. It is well worth a trip. But Machu Picchu. We got picked up from Cusco and we went to a town called Ollantaytambo. We spent a night in Ollantaytambo when we met with a bigger group of people that we were going to walk with. Now, a few reasons I didn't walk the Inca Trail. The Inca Trail you need to book up about 6 months in advance. Only 500 people can walk in a day. Of those 500 people, for every one tourist, 2 of them are going to be Sherpas. So it's only about 133 people that get to walk a day, but that's still 500 people walking it. So it's quite a busy trail. As I talk to you a bit more about the Lares Trek, you're going to realise why I enjoyed it a lot more than the people from our group who did the Inca Trail. So from Ollantaytambo we drove to a little town called, I'm still going to call it Lares, it might be Lars, but the Lares Trek. And we drove to a little town called Lares, and from there we started walking, and we're already at about 3,500 to 4,000 metres above sea level. And we're going to get to over 5,000 metres. From Lares we started walking. And we walked for half a day. So we got there at lunchtime and walked for half a day. And we get to a campsite. Now our Sherpas have gone ahead of us and they've set up tents and they cook us a meal. And we have a lovely evening under the most amazing night of stars that you can imagine. And you start to bond with your group you're with. Now with our group, as I say, it was on an 18 to 30 something G Adventures on a shoestring trip. So most people are under the age of 40 and they're fairly fit. To a point that they can cope with a hike, but even this is a struggle. We passed one of the group, there was another G Adventures group, and they were the classic, so they were a different and a much more mixed group of ages. We passed them and didn't really see them again. They were a lot slower than us, but it wasn't a race, but we were just walking faster. We had 2 guides and all the Sherpas plus some chefs. And it was an early start the next day. And this was going to be a full, long day of walking. I think we walked for nearly 12 hours. And it starts off with a knock on your tent and your Sherpas wake you up with a cup of Coca Tea. Now, Coca Tea is made from the leaf that they make a drug with, which we won't talk about, but it thins your blood slightly, so they make sweets from it, they make tea from it, but you're woken up with a cup of Coca Tea and that helps get the oxygen through your blood because it thins your blood slightly. The other thing that people use to help with their altitude is what I heard people referring to as condor piss. Whether it is, I don't know what it is, but you sprinkle it in your hand and you take some deep breaths and it helps, I think probably just helps regulate your breathing. But the Coca you can either have sweet, chew the leaves or drink the tea. Don't take the other stuff. No, bad. So woke up with a cup of tea and it is cold. Now, I did not quite prepare for how cold Peru was going to be. I was going on my summer holidays. I'd got shorts, I'd got flip-flops and I got t-shirts. I had also got one of my shawl type scarves I brought in Dubai, which helped me massively keep warm, and I'd also got some longer trousers, but they were comfy trousers, but I wore them first thing, but then after about an hour of walking I took them off anyway. But it isn't warm. You're at altitude. These are the mistakes I made. So I probably didn't take thick enough gloves, I didn't take a gilet or a puffer jacket, and I didn't take good walking trousers. But I did take a thermal t-shirt and that kept me warm at night. The other thing I took was a 10-breath inflatable mattress, which I was put into my tent and I slept on, because if you didn't, you just had a ground sheet and it wasn't very comfortable. The 10-breath inflatable mattress is one of the best buys I've ever had. Literally 10 puffs and you've got a mattress and you lie on it and it's comfortable as anything. So yeah, stop the night in the tent. Now you have to carry a bag with your clothes in, your pants in, your toiletries in, and the Sherpas carry everything else for you. So you get your sleeping bag and your ground sheet and the tent, they're all carried for you, but you need to carry your own clothes and things. So you need to pack a smaller backpack because it's 3 days worth of hiking. And just make sure you're comfy for 3 days. We started walking, 12 hours of walking. It was the last little bit. We got out of this first day to the highest point. We got to 5,200 metres above sea level. It's difficult. But we were given snacks by a company called Gloria. It's very big in South America. And at which point I think the altitude got to our heads and we proceeded to dance to Laura Branigan. This is Jacob and he had a lovely time with Laura Branigan. So yeah, Gloria and the altitude went to our head slightly. We got to the highest point, we took some amazing photos, the views were out of this world, and then we had to start our descent. We descended through to lunch, at which point I had to sit outside and do some, I've never done yoga breathing before, but I had to sit outside and do some breathing because I was, in the words of a wise man, cabbaged. But once I got my breath settled, I was all right, and we carried on our walk, and the views of this valley, and there were Inca ruins on the walk, but it's amazing, it's stunning, it's beautiful, the views are everywhere. You go higher than you would on the Inca Trail, and it's more physical than the Inca Trail, and also there's nobody on it. It's quiet. It's stunning. At night it's peaceful. The walk, you're not surrounded by other tourists. It's one of the best things I've ever done. So we walked whole of the second day, stopped another night in a tent which had been set up for us. The food's there waiting for us. And then we had a small casual walk on the third day to get the bus back to go and get some lunch. After lunch, we went back to Ollamatambo, and then we get an open top train. That'd be really interesting. We get a train, but it was dark at the time. We took some beers on the train, and we got the train through to Machu Picchu City, which has got another name. I think it's Agua Caliente, hot water, because there's hot water springs there. But I was told there was Machu Picchu City, because the Machu Picchu's above it, and then Machu Picchu City. So we went there. Now the train ride back is more impressive because it's a glass top train and you go through the valleys. It's stunning. But on the way there, it was dark, so we didn't see anything. And now a few things about Machu Picchu. I woke up in my hotel, which is a bonus. Because if you do the Inca Trail, you walk straight into Machu Picchu, which is why it's the pilgrimage. You don't get to stop. So a few better things for us. We got a night in a hotel, we got to refresh, we got to wake up nice and early to get up there, and we got taken up by bus. With the Inca Trail, you hike straight in, so you got the pilgrimage, you go in there, but if you want all those nice photos of you in front of Machu Picchu, you're gonna be stinking. Anyway, in the hotel I woke up and I think I had caught, for the second time in my life, beaver fever or giardiasis. Now this affected me in many ways. It gave me the worst eggy burp. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning with this burp that was horrendous. And then when I woke up in the morning, before we went up to Machu Picchu, it was wind. I had both ends giving me horrendous winds, but on a tour abroad, I always use the hashtag never trust a fart. Never trust a fart. You don't know what's going to come out, and I wasn't sure, so I knew I needed a toilet around at all time. And now our guide from G Adventures had told us we were going to go up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but that would mean we missed sunrise, so we ignored her. If your guide does tell you to not go up until a bit later, ignore it. Get up nice and early, get in the queue. There'll be a queue through Machu Picchu City, the Agua Caliente, and get on a bus. The bus takes you up and then you queue up to get into Machu Picchu. Then there are no toilets once you get into Machu Picchu complex. There's 2 sessions, 6 until midday, midday until 6. We're on the first session, so we get to see sunrise, we get to go to the sun gate and see the sun bright. So you see the sunrise over Machu Picchu, then you see the sunrise and hit it as well from the sun gate. And then we got a guided tour as well. So we got a lot crammed into the day, and then all of this is included in the price of your G Adventures ticket. Now there's different tours you can do within G Adventures to get there. You could use a short one that just does this, or you could do a long one like I did, but the short one would include the price to get into Machu Picchu. But yes, once you're in there, no toilets, no toilets. And after I'd walked to the sun gate, my stomach was doing a cramp that I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So anyway, I went to an Inca toilet just behind a bush. Not that you needed much of an imagination there. And it was just gas, and I was like, yes, it's just gas. I'm a gassy man. And I thought I got rid of it, and we did the tour, and halfway around the tour my stomach started to cramp again, and it was painful. Anyway, I managed to complete my whole day site. I'm not going to tell you much about Machu Picchu because if you're thinking of going, book your tickets and go, and you'll learn so much about Machu Picchu from your guided tour, because you need to do that. So yeah, you'll learn so much. I don't want to tell you that. I did take some photos using my orb ball, which you'll probably have seen going through this one, through this video. And I nearly destroyed Machu Picchu while taking a picture with this ball, because I hadn't realised this ball is a massive magnet, and I think I had a little bit of, I left it on the ledge with some grass underneath it, and I saw a bit of smoke as I was taking a photo. I thought I need to get that and get out of here. Once I left Machu Picchu, I'm looking down because I'm trying to grab my passport, and I just wanted to show you what you can do when you leave. I might take a photo for you afterwards. In fact, I'm going to take a photo for you because that's not worked very well. You get your passport stamped anyway. So you get your passport stamped to say that you've been to Machu Picchu. I mean, I'm going to start just getting my passport stamped when I go home at this rate. So I've got, that's Lake Titicaca, the floating islands, and I also got Rainbow Mountain passport stamp. So I'll take a photo of those and pop that in the video as well so you can see the photos of the stamp. But so when you leave Machu Picchu, make sure you've got your passport with you because you can get it stamped. They charge you about $1 or something to do it, but it's a nice little token. And then we headed back down to Machu Picchu City, and that's when the rest of my group arrived, and they all appeared to have a more intense version of the giardiasis beaver fever than I had. I was still gas for both ends, but never trust a fart. And everybody else with my group had it vomiting and sickness. So that was a good end to Machu Picchu, but we saw it, it was stunning. So in 1983, UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is one of the new 7 wonders of the world. So if you do go to Machu Picchu, you're visiting one of the new 7 wonders of the world. So a few things on the costs of the tour. So I paid to do a full tour with G Adventures. This video has nothing to do with G Adventures, just I enjoy touring with them. So the tour with G Adventures from La Paz to Lima was nearly 30 days and was just over £2,000. If you want to do a smaller tour, you can. If you just want to book Machu Picchu ticket, you can. A Machu Picchu ticket is 154 Peruvian soles, which is about $45. So if you just wanted to go in, wanted to get yourself to Ollantaytambo, wanted to get the train there, wanted to get the bus up, it'll cost you that. However, if you want to do the trek, you're going to have to factor lots of in. You need to factor in tipping for the chefs and the guides and the Sherpas. They do give you rough ideas of how much you should be tipping. Even with G Adventures tour, you still have to hire your sleeping bag. You could carry your own sleeping bag, but for the sake of 2 nights, is it worth it? Probably not. Better to hire it. All in all, I had one of the best trips of my life going to Machu Picchu. I would recommend anybody who is wanting to see it to go. I would also recommend booking the Lares Trek with G Adventures, as I loved every single second of it. You got to go amazing heights. You got to see Inca ruins as well, and you didn't get bombarded with other tourists. So if you're thinking of going to Machu Picchu, this is the video for you. You've watched it now though, so it probably was the video for you. It's not the video anymore. Again, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll be bringing you loads more videos about travel that I have done or am going to be doing very, very soon. Please do me a favour and like, subscribe, share, all the things down the bottom that you can do to help me get more views on this video. And hopefully more people will be able to enjoy Machu Picchu as well. Until the next video, I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.